right, this video is to help you review, to retake the writing equations test. You should have this review in front of you. I'm going to go through and I've chosen some problems that will help you out to be able to do the rest of the review. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight to number 4 here. On number 4, we're writing the equation. Anytime we're writing the equation of a line, we need two things. We need to know the slope of the equation, and we need to know B, which is the y-intercept of the equation. So we're looking for those two items. No matter what problems we're doing in this review, those are the two things we have to have. All right, so for this equation, we're actually given a graph, and so we need to find these two items from a graph, slope and y-intercept. So when I'm finding the slope, what I need to do is find any two good points on the graph. And by good points, I mean where these little grid lines intersect. So it can't be a point like here where it's going through this side, but it's not going through one side to side. So we have to find one that goes through an exact dot. And it doesn't matter which two you pick. This graph has a whole lot of them. So I'm going to pick this one right here. It truly does not make any difference. And I'm going to pick this one up here, okay, to find my slope. When we're finding slope from a graph, we think of it as rise over run. So this is where we make our little triangle. Okay, and we look at rise. This one is up 2, and run 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so rise over run is 2 over 4, which we can reduce to be 1/2. Okay, if you don't remember to reduce, that's okay, but we can reduce that to 1/2. Then the other thing we're looking for is the y-intercept. And y-intercept, B, is where we cross the y-axis. So I see right here that my line crosses the y-axis right here at this dot. Okay, and this dot is up 2, so that is a y-intercept of +2. Okay, so we now have our slope and we have our y-intercept. Every equation we write is going to be in the form y equals mx plus b. And we're going to replace the m and the b with the numbers for the slope and the y-intercept. So the equation here for this line is y equals 1/2 x, because that's what we found for the slope, plus 2 for the y-intercept. Okay, so don't forget your y equals, okay, and your x in the equation. All right, we're going to jump down to number 6 right here. Number 6, we're given a table of values. Again, we have to have the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, slope from a table, I think that most of us are pretty good at this point. Okay, when we're finding slope from a table, we look at the change in y divided by the change in x. Probably the biggest mistake is we forget which one is on the top of the fraction. All right, over here I see that I'm adding 30 each time. Okay, adding 30. Over here I see that I'm adding 5 each time. Okay, so my slope is change in y divided by change in x. So in this case, 30 divided by 5. And 30 divided by 5 is something that we could type in a calculator or that we might know, which just comes out nicely to be 6. Okay, so we have our slope. Now the trick from a table of values is finding the y-intercept. All right, from a table with smaller values, like this one over here, number 5, you might be able to just find the y-intercept by going back to where x equals 0. Okay, but this one, that's going to be a little bit trickier to do. The numbers are definitely bigger. So what we want to do is we want to take an x and a y ordered pair, and we're going to plug everything we know into y equals mx plus b. We now know y, m, and x. What we still don't know is b, and we need to solve for that. All right, so we're going to take a y value, 100, equals 6 for m, times 25 for the x. Okay, and we always have to use a pair that goes together, plus, and I'm going to make it a capital B just so it doesn't look like a 6 in this problem. All right, so now we're solving for b. All right, so 100 equals 6 times 25 comes out to be 150 plus b. And now to get b by itself, I have to subtract 150 from each side. All right, 100 minus 150 is negative 50 equals b. So now I have the two things I need. I have my slope here, and I have my y-intercept here, and now I'm going to write the equation of the line. Y equals mx plus b, so I'm plugging in m and b. So y equals 6x plus, oh, and sorry, I messed up on that one. It's not plus because it was a negative 50. So let me just erase that real quick. It's actually minus 50 for my y-intercept. So 6x minus 50. All right, let's look at a few more problems for this one. Almost every problem is going to go through that same process again. Okay, so we have the points 1, -2, and -3, 6. We need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So I'm going to have my xy table to find my slope, 1, -2, -3, 6, change in y, change in x, so -2 to 6 is +8, 1 to -3 is -4, so my slope is 8 divided by -4, which if I type in a calculator is -2. Okay, so I know my slope. I'm going to use that later when I'm writing my equation of the line. Okay, now it doesn't matter which ordered pair I use. I can use the first one or the second one, but I'm going to use them as x and y and my m, and I'm going to find b. So y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug in everything I know. Here's my y value, -2. Okay, my slope is also -2. My x value is 1 plus b, and we're solving for b. So -2 equals -2 plus b. Add 2 to both sides, and this one kind of comes out strange, right? -2 plus 2 is 0 equals b. So my y-intercept here is 0, but that's okay. It doesn't make any difference. So if I plug my b, my y-intercept, and m, my slope, into the equation y equals mx plus b, I get y equals -2x plus 0. And technically, we don't need that plus 0 on there. You could just write the equation as y equals -2x. All right, great. And so that should help you get through all the problems here in this section, these 4 problems right here. On 7 and 9, you actually already have the slope, so you don't have to go through this first process. You just have to go through this process here to find the y-intercept. Okay? Down at the bottom, we're asked about parallel and perpendicular lines. Hopefully we remember that parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so same slope. And that helps us with this problem, because I can look at this equation and I know the slope. When y is by itself, the slope is the number attached to x. So m is going to be 2 for this problem. And I know parallel lines have the same slope, so I'm going to use 2 as I'm doing this. So again, just like what we just did before, here will be x and y, and we need to find b. We have m, we have an x, we have a y. So y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug in everything I know. 2 equals 2 times -4 plus b, and I need to find what that b equals. So 2 equals 2 times -4 is -8 plus b. Then add 8 to both sides. 2 plus 8 is 10. So my y-intercept is 10. My slope, m, is 2. So my equation is y equals 2x, same slope, plus 10. Okay, so this is the equation that is parallel to this equation right here. They have the same slope, but this equation goes through the point -4, 2. All right, 14 is a little bit different. Perpendicular lines, we have to do 2 things to the slope. They don't have the same slope. They are going to touch. They're going to cross each other. So we have to look at the slope of this line, which is -5, but we have to change it. Okay, instead of continuing to be -5, we do 2 things. First, we change the sign. This slope was negative, so our new slope will be positive. The other thing is we have to find the reciprocal. Okay, 5 is like 5 over 1. The reciprocal means flip it over. Okay, so our new slope is going to be 1 over 5. Okay, so we changed the sign and we flipped it over. Okay, so that's the slope we're going to use. Here's our x and our y, and now we have to go through the same process that we've done several times. So y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in everything we know. 8 for the y, m is 1/5, x is 10, and we're solving for b. All right, so then we just continue going through and solving. 1/5 times 10 is 2 plus b. Subtract 2 on each side. So we find that our y-intercept is 6. Okay, so now we have the 2 things we need. We have slope and we have y-intercept, and we can write the equation of our line. Y equals 1/5 x plus 6. Okay, so perpendicular lines, we don't use the same slope. We have to do 2 things to the slope to change it. So you should now be able to get 12 and 13 done on your review. All right, the next page is word problems, and I'm actually not going to work through either of these. You guys have done a great job with word problems. I kind of want you to play with these. Double check them before you take the test, but check with your teacher, and I think that you'll be able to do those just fine. We're going to do one last problem on this page, which is here number 19, so the very end of your review. Choose the best equation for the line of best fit. The line of best fit is a line that should cut through the middle of our dots. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these four options. With it being multiple choice, it's kind of nice, right? We don't have to actually come up with the equation on our own. We just have to look at this and see what we can figure out. All right, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to number this side because it's kind of hard to see if I don't know what numbers are here. Okay, so 1 through 10 up the side. Then I'm going to look at some things. I think my line is going to be right in here. I'm not going to draw the line yet, but I feel like the y-intercept is going to be somewhere here, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, somewhere right in there. It's going to cut through those lines. Okay, so 6, 7, maybe even as low as 5, but that seems a little bit low. So I can know that I can eliminate A, though. 1/2 is all the way down here. That's way too small for my y-intercept. Okay, so I've eliminated one of the options. Now the other thing is I see that my line is going to go up like this. Okay, so it's going to have an uphill slope, which means it has to have a positive slope. So when I look at the numbers attached to x, I see B does not have a positive slope. We also thought that 5 was a little too low. So B is definitely not one of the right answers either because it's a negative slope. So now really I'm only deciding between two options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these two options, and I'm going to graph them, I'm going to try to do them in different color ink here. All right, so I'm going to grab this orange pen right here. Let's graph this first one. To graph this, I go up to 6, the y-intercept, and then I graph using my slope, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. So here is that equation, and it goes through the points pretty well. All right, my other equation is here, x plus 7. So I go up to the 7 for my y-intercept, and my slope is 1, so that's up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So that's this line right here. Okay, I see that C, while it's not absolutely perfect through all the points, C definitely goes more through the points than D does. Okay, so try to eliminate as many options as you can, and then between the ones that are left, graph those on the graph and see which one is the line of best fit.